pieces of land. To date, the city has unlocked about 123,842 hectares of dolomitic land to major developments such as proposed township establishment. Additionally, in 2016, as a city, we committed to building about 100,000 houses and 59,000 service stands to deal with the backlog. All indications, as demonstrated in our State of the City's address, are that we are on the course to achieve this feat. This will go a long way in dealing with the crisis resulting from the urban sprawl and ensuring that dignified residents is respected. The city has deeply committed in building internal capacity to assurance to deal with administrative challenges arising out of these socio-economic realities and other factors. The results of the Gauteng City Regions Observatory Quality of Life Surveys, a research and evidence-based assessment of the successes and failures of policy interventions in the eyes of the citizens of Gauteng, indicate that we are making strides in bettering the conditions of our people here in Ekurhuleni. On the energy challenges that we have been facing, experiencing an unprecedented electricity outages as a result of several factors. Amongst these is overloading of the electricity network through an illegal bypass of electricity meters, illegal connections, and unprecedented level of cable theft in the city. The city is now in advanced stage in terms of supply chain management process to procure a modern technology system that is going to detect cable theft in our city. We will also be installing a system that is going to detect tampering with electricity meters in individual homes, which will assist us in deterring also illegal bypassing that we're experiencing through these efforts, including also dealing decisively with izinyoka that are taking place in different communities. We are currently finding means to foster closer cooperation with ESCOM in particular, in areas where the power utility is electricity supplier. In addition to this, in my capacity as Executive Mayor, I have taken ordinary steps to enhance my office by ensuring that we recruit external energy experts to be appointed as an advisor of the Executive Mayor so that we can deal with issues of energy that has been affecting the city. We will also ensure a significant reduce the current outages drastically reduced. We have witnessed unfortunate incident which power outages fuel community to destroy public properties, where a school in Katlehong was torched. We condemn such act of criminality and call on communities to refrain from torching public. And we are encouraged by the report that community has now cleansed itself from these incidents of arson, and we hope that we will work with the criminals who have committed this area. With regard to issues of the chemical toilets, the clarification on the tender was initially provided by the city in response to the Amabhungane investigation piece titled of May, which you can find on our website. The city also provided answers to the questions that were presented by the Business Day. The summary of the facts regarding the chemical toilet tender are as follows, so that all of us can note. Firstly, the city of Ekurhuleni provides basic sanitation services to more than 100 through the deployment of chemical toilets and ablution blocks, toilets, waterborne sanitation reticulation network are not available due to capacity, design factors, geological condition, and over 600,000 people who reside in settlements. We have provided about 39,000 chemical toilets to date, an exponential increase from the 9,000 in the period ending in 2014. Naturally, this has an implication for budget, necessitating its increase to about 872 million, not the 1.9 based informal settlement household survey. The report 16. The report confirmed that the total number of households in the informal settlement in the city is total Accordingly, the survey, if you follow that logic, the city will have to deliver about 32,000 on the ratio of 1:5. The GIS-based informal settlement household 845 toilets at the time of previously. An investigation to settlement in the municipality was conducted through the City Department of Human Settlement. It was discovered that at that time, over 5% of the city's informal settlement were utilized unimproved health risk and possible contamination of underground water. Legislation, the city is compelled to provide basic water to all the residents, regardless of their status. On the 25th, the Federal Committee considered and approved the report titled Ekurhuleni Basic Minimum Water and Sanitation Guidelines, part of the improvement of the provision of sanitation facilities in the informal settlement to ensure that we deal with the ratio of 1:10, 1:5, in line with the National Housing Code of 2009 that talks about emergency minimum service level that must be provided. Maintenance of the chemical toilets to the informal settlement is within the city was conducted on a month-to-month basis. This is a high risk to service providers as a starting point, which was awarded to one of the service providers. The name was TCM Development at the time as a primary contractor. The said company could only supply us with only 2,000 units at the time of chemical toilets out of the 9,000 that we needed, that I referred to earlier, to service the informal settlement within the city at that time. In November 2014, this tender was unbundled in order to mitigate the risk of non-delivery. Based on the prescript of Section 36(1)(a)(5) of the Supply Chain Management Act, the service providers were appointed on the rates of the higher scoring bidder, known as the primary contractor. However, the three other bidders that were appointed, the secondary contractor and tertiary contractor and the fourth contractor, rejected the bidder, leaving only one contractor in place. The Red End Security Relocation and Eviction Services was appointed on the 10th of March 2015. Another appointment was done in 2016. That extended until in June 2016. That extended until November 2016, 13 November 2016, to allow the transitional period for the contract. 16 service providers were appointed on as and when required basis from the date until 30th June 2019, and we are required to place they were required to place their toilets before the expiry of the old contracts in order to ensure continuity of service in all the informal settlement. The appointment letters had specific allocations to each of the bidders in relation to the number of units to be provided. Orders were placed with all the bidders to deliver chemical toilets at various informal settlements as per the depot's request. The bidders were requested to submit the implementation plan, and when many of them did not respond, the City Water and Sanitation Department had to reissue letters notifying them that failure to submit the implementation plan will result in orders being cancelled. Most of the plans were received later than the required and agreed date of delivery. This could have resulted in a significant number of informal settlement not receiving basic sanitation for months while awaiting manufacturers to produce these tenders, because many of them did not have these toilets. In order to manage and control this risk of exposure that was posed to human health and environment pollution, the department wrote a report to bid adjudication committee requesting that a district demarcation be lifted to reach the required quantities as per the respective service delivery area, and to ensure a better management of these services. The rates of district are applicable as per the approved tender rates per the district. The city sought to approve for a contract to be restructured in order to facilitate better provision of toilets and fairness in the unit's allocation. The department readjusted the quantities based on the performance projections and allowed in the 6 weeks after the instruction were issued to service providers to supply. The result of this resulted in the rescindment of the award and replaced by the unlimited number of chemical toilets within the scope quantities of the contract that was being pursued. In terms of the oversight, the City of Ekurhuleni received written requests for sanitary facilities from communities through the following channels: ward councillors, the petitions that we received as a council, Izimbizo's public meetings, some of the Siyaquba Accelerated Program, the Office of the Public Protector, the Human Rights Commissions, to mention but a few. The city officials visit the aforementioned sites that have made the request, verify the request, and confirm the number of units that are required by counting the number of dwellings in the informal settlement before such is provided to all the citizens. For the new areas, we also verify and get approvals from Department of Human Settlements to avoid supplying services in the areas where there is pending legal processes or where evictions notices have been issued by the courts. Furthermore, the city conducted a social audit across the city. We are assisted by an NGO called the Plan Act organization in order to hear the end users what was their experience about the service. The following issues were raised that needed improvement on our side by this social audit. One, that toilet unit had to be accessible to disabled residents. Two, adequate cleaning of these toilets were necessary in each unit. Adequate ventilation areas should be provided, and the use of a safety laboratory to test the chemicals that are used in these toilets, including the employment contract as well as minimum wage and clothing equipment for cleaners of those particular toilets. These are the things that came up, which we have since used to ensure that in the new tender we improve those things that were being raised in the communities. In 2016, 37 service providers placed bids for contract which required that chemical toilets be serviced twice a week. 16 were awarded, not 250 as being alleged. The basis of the appointment of the 16 service providers was to minimize the risk. The risk was informed by the fact that during dispute between the city and the loan service providers, the city was often confronted with the threat that the service providers would lift up their units on the ground, leaving communities without basic care sanitation. It is important to note 2 points. Firstly, that based on the bid specification, bidders were claiming as per the approved tender rates. Secondly, that the aforementioned contract was the first tender where chemical toilets units had to meet the specific upgraded requirements. Previously, the previous tenders allowed for toilets units of any form or any shape, including the zinc toilet. The introduction of these new chemical toilets units ensured that there was no cutting of corners. Cleaning supervision requirements were also strengthened. Contrary to the allegations that lack of oversight being leveled against us, because you can't be talking to 600,000 people, interview 3 people, and then say that you have evidence of wrongdoings. All toilets are delivered on site and have been verified by the City Water and Sanitation Department. And delivery notes are signed and are available in our offices for that effect. So there is no instances where toilets are requested but not delivered on time. All toilets that are delivered are counted by our staff, as I said, and they get to sign on them. Lastly, we have, as part of strengthening this area, because it was raised through the social audit, we have advertised new posts for informal settlement marshals so that we can ensure that we fill these posts. In addition, community liaison officers' role and responsibilities in terms of monitoring and reports on the toilets are being currently revised. Now, in terms of the actual budget, in 2016, financial year 2016-17, the number of toilets that were on the ground were 16,098, and the amount, the budget that was spent in that specific financial year was 379 million. On this the next financial year, which was 17-18, the number of toilets had doubled to 30,794, and the amount of money that was paid in that year was 828 million. And this current financial year, which is 2018-19, we have 39,112 toilets on the ground, and we have paid an amount of 872 million to ensure that we provide this. This comes as a result of the 1:5, and many of you as journalists here, you will know that in your home, where it is yourself and your wife and your kids, you probably have on average of 3 toilets. So this, we are talking about 1 toilet for 5 families. You can imagine the distress that is facing us. So we just had to explain that now. The third issue is just on the claim that council was misled on the COO matter. Various publications have ran with stories alleging that the executive mayor lied to council on the matter regarding the suspension of the chief operating officer. This allegation is not true as reflected in the reality. On the 19th of October 2018, the city received a report from the Special Investigation Unit titled Investigation in terms of the Proclamation number R63 of 2010 into certain affairs of Ekurhuleni Metropolitan, possible misconduct of an official or employee. According to the report, Mr. Mzwandile had contravened the law. That's what the report said. And on the 4th of December, the SIU forensic investigator released a statement indicating that the COO had refused to meet with them to discuss the content of the SIU report and had failed to present himself so that he can tell the side of his story. 3 days after this, on the 7th of December 2018, the Office of the Executive Mayor wrote to the SIU requesting clarity as to when the final determination on the compilation of evidence regarding the disciplinary process that were to be instituted against the COO would be complete. Because in the report, there is only one SIU report that was released. In that report, on the matter of the COO, the report was inconclusive. Hence, we wrote to them on the 7th of December in relation to that. On the 21st of February 2019, Council dealt with the SIU report, in particular on matters of SEM as it relates to Council decision-making processes only. In the conclusion of the report, we had always stated that where the issues are coming out from the SIU and we need to review, we will not be hostile to those issues. And at that point, we said the matter was concluded. However, on the 13th of March 2019, the SIU responded to the letter that we had written with a bundle of evidence titled Investigation in terms of Proclamation number R63 of 2010 into certain affairs of Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Municipality, possible misconduct by officials or employee, in which new information regarding the COO came up. This matter is sub judice now, and therefore the substance of the new information cannot be publicly disclosed. Needless to say that it was on the basis of the supplied evidence, the bundle of evidence by the SIU, that Ekurhuleni Council resolved to suspend the COO, who is currently facing disciplinary action from the city. The suspension of the COO is with full pay and was unanimous in Council by all 11 political parties in Council, and all of them to date, they still stand by the decision to suspend the COO. There is no basis for the allegation that Council was misled in taking the decision to suspend the COO. The City of Ekurhuleni is committed to the provision of quality services to its residents. In addition, we are committed to good governance and accountability that places the need of residents at the center of our work. We wish to take this opportunity to advise the COO to appear before the independent DC process and ventilate or defend himself on all the charges leveled against him, other than doing door-to-door in the media houses, painting the city as corrupt. If he has any evidence of corruption, maladministration, we encourage him to approach the law enforcement agencies and report any corrupt individuals. Thank you very much, Pagami.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. We're going to have 2 rounds of questions. Please may you raise your hand and once I let you, please say your name and from which publication you are from and whom the question is directed to. Okay.
Hi, it's Natasha. bundle of evidence separately, which had new information that led to a different conclusion. Did you actually query that with the SIU? I find it very difficult to understand why they would have a final report with an inconclusive finding and then new evidence and a bundle of evidence based on that report. Thank you.
Okay, next.
Kaya Koko from the Star. I just want to go back to the February 2019 council meeting where council said that the report indicates that proper council processes were followed. This was a statement that came out from the system following the in-committee meeting at council. I would just like to know, because it was in-committee, I'm not sure what the deliberations were, but at that specific time in February, when council said that all processes were followed, were you then confident at the time that this matter is not being put to rest, and why they are about to now?
Okay. Start with Lungane.
Good day, my name is Lungane from Kasi FM. On the issue of COO, Executive Mayor, we have heard that he's planning to take this report to review. As he's still undergoing the DC, what is likely to happen if then the SIU report is set aside? Because it is alleged that there are many mistakes there.
Okay. So we'll take these last two for this round.
Mayor Masina, it's Natasha here from SABC. I just want clarity on this matter. So, MEC Naile has given you Friday, until Friday actually, to write a report on this tennis scandal. I'd like to get your reasoning behind calling a press conference and, clearing your name out first instead of, just submitting the report, which is actually due this Friday.
Okay.
Thank you, Muluku Mulato from ELCA. Mayor, the report of Amabungani creates the impression that the tender was awarded to politically connected people. Are you willing to share with us the people who were awarded those contracts? But also, there's an allegation that they did not have, for instance, the financial means to carry out the responsibilities that they were given. And also a complaint that they are not being cleaned as regularly as they should be. I mean, you as the city, are you monitoring this? Or were you hearing about these complaints for the first time in the media? And can you say now that the tender was above board?
Okay, thank you. That's the first round. The Executive Mayor to respond.
Yeah. Firstly, I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of the SIU, Natasha, from Mail and Guardian. I think you can call them and ask them why they will issue a report, which I can share with you. That report you can see. It says on point 16 that the matter of the General Manager 2010, then, the matter is still under investigation. And I can also give you, I'm sure the office will bring that letter, a letter of evidence where we wrote to them and asked them in December, on the 7th of December, we asked them, why are they, for 10 years, they are not concluding on this matter? They wrote back to us on the 13th of March to say no, because he was not cooperating. So the man they were investigating was not cooperating. There is we can show you here as a proof, an affidavit from SIU where they say he was not cooperating. As a result of that, the matter was not closed. The old saying, so the matter has always been open. So as to why, because there is one report they gave to us, we serve it to council, but there is also here, which you can see, there is a bundle of evidence, which is more than the size of the report. And by the way, here is the bundle that they gave it to us. Now, the report was probably half of this, and it implicated 21 or 22 people. So we dealt with all the issues. But on this one matter, they came back with this document. It's not ours. We got it from them. It contains a number of allegations. So that's the issue. Now, Koko, the council in February 2019 sat and deliberated on the matter. You must remember that you must separate investigations from council processes. We looked into how the matter was dealt with in 2010, 2011. What council processes were followed. We looked into that because as a successor in law, it's important that we protect how decision-making processes are followed in council. So we looked into that and we were satisfied that subsequent, because at the time, what would have happened at the time? The time council was dealing with these issues, closing the matter, it is the same time the SIU was investigating the matter. So that was the paradox that existed at the time, which created a loop, because then we dealt with that. What did council do? Council investigated the matter, condoned some of the issues, went to MPEC, came back to council to report. It's a process issue, it's not a content issue. So that was the issue that we were dealing with there. And because the city was not investigating itself, we had to process the report. But what is important to note is that, which is what you are asking, you must note that the city is not investigating itself. So in this bundle of evidence, which you can, after the press conference, you can look yourself, the city is directed, because we didn't commission the SIU report. It was commissioned by the president. Now they come back to us and say, discipline this person, now that is back in this. What were you expecting us to do, Coco? We could only do that. So we went back to council, because that's what the process prescribed. Say, there is now a new bundle of evidence that suggests that we must now discipline the COO. Then we dealt with that issue in that way. Currently, as I'm not dealing with the content of these issues, we have followed all due processes to suspend the COO. And he's suspended with full pay. I don't understand why he must be chacharak and call medias, hop from one place to the other, instead of going to the DC. He's been saying he wants to clear himself. He must go there and clear himself and explain that this is what I've done, this was my part, whoever did what, so that there is clarity on this matter. For me, that's how this issue can be dealt with. Natasha from SABC, yes, the report for MEC Maile is ready. He will receive it, I think, by today, because we've looked into it. We've made all necessary comments in the administration, and we'll give it to him. So let's not confuse the issues. That's a separate issue altogether. It's a governance issue. When the MEC is compelled by law to ask us certain questions to answer. But also, we are a going concern. We're an institution. Where allegations are leveled against us at any given time, we must be able to clarify ourselves and also clarify members of the public, because in the public is like, I'm not sure whether many of you have picked up this tender that we're talking about was awarded on the 30th of June 2016. This new administration that I preside over started on the 23rd of August 2016. So if you ask, was it job for Pulse, you are asking the wrong person. Ask the people who were there at the time whether they were avoiding their friends, because it was not me, it was not my administration, so I'm not in a position to answer whether or not those people were friends of the leadership then, because they are not here. But what we cannot do is to abdicate our responsibility as an incumbent to explain, because that's why I went into greater details explaining the rationale, because now if you say it was right for 600,000 people to use 9,000 toilets, when all report research were showing us that it is inadequate. Because at that time, it meant that almost 14 families were using one toilet. Other people were not receiving services. They were using pit latrines. And we can't, we're a metro in an urban setup. We cannot allow those things to continue to, and on the basis that we must be worried that there will be a scandal. So the point we are raising is that even though that administration is not here, there is no scandal here of 1.9 billion. There was a deliberate policy which was then implemented by our administration, so they did nothing wrong. So I will not talk here and say, no, they didn't award their friends or they awarded their friends, but there was no scandal, and I've demonstrated, in fact, the statement you will get at the conclusion of this, that there was no issue here. So Muloko, the issue whether Amapungane, they can tell us who's connected to who. I remain available. If anyone says someone is connected to me, I am here. They can ask me. I'm not involved. I don't know anything. And I don't think any of my colleagues in the executive and in the administration, I've asked them, city manager, She was there as a COO then. He was a head of supply chain. I have asked them, were you involved? Did you appoint your friends? They are here. You can also ask them so that I don't make them ancestors to answer. They are here so that they can answer for themselves. The issue you are raising, whether or not we had means to clean the toilet regularly, I've said here that there would have been instances when at the beginning where toilets used to be cleaned once, but the new arrangement, which comes at the cost, is such that at least on twice a month there are those cleaning, and we are looking at improving these things. But be also mindful that at the back of these things, that's why we started explaining the socio-economic conditions, that we are not thinking that those informal settlements should be permanent, should be there forever. These are temporal, but unfortunately there are human beings there. We can't, because say we can't spend money because we are even now electrifying some of those informal settlements. One of the trends that we are picking up is that the payment rate in those informal settlements, because those are normal families, they pay for their services. You know, the payment rate in the informal settlement, in the 35 informal settlements that we've electrified, their payment rate is sitting at about 98%. It shows that these are people who require government services, but also the Constitution does compel us to deal with the issues. So I think that I've attempted on this round to answer the questions that were posed here.
Thank you, Ian. Second round, this is the last round. After this, we're going to be closing the... Let's give other kids a chance. I'm going to start that side and work my way through. At the back then? Yes, you.
Michelle here from Sunday Times. Mr. Mayor, I hear you. You say there's no road to it, there never was, at least under administration. But I mean, if you know all these allegations that keep on coming up against, your leadership are from within. What is your analysis of what those today's allegations are aiming to achieve?
Thank you. Your hand is next, yeah?
Angela from SABC Radio News. Mayor, you almost alluded to this. Is there a more permanent solution to the issue of toilets? And when you go for a new tender, what are the differences that we're going to see in the new tender based on the lessons that you learned from this one?
All right, thank you so much. I'm Sidi Madia from News 24. Mr. Mayor, you're speaking about how the COO is doing door-to-doors at different media houses. I recall when the SIU issue happened and council discussed it, he then called the media and I was there, and he then spoke about how he's in a political environment. He can't help but feel that he's being targeted at the time, I even asked him if you haven't gone to council, even against coalition partners who wanted him out, if you're protecting him, and he wouldn't give a clear answer. So I'm just looking for clarity around that. Firstly, if he's got a point in saying it's a political environment and he's being targeted. Secondly, the part where at some point he seemed to believe, well, there seemed to be an idea around even your coalition partners that you were specifically protecting him. And then the issue around the toilets. The IC has come out saying, it couldn't be your fault at all. Also saying that the blame must be laid with Mzwandile Masina. Masina, however, then distances himself. He says, I was nowhere near the tender processes. It couldn't be me. So there's also now this weird finger-pointing thing that's developing in Ekurhuleni. I just wanted your view on that. Thank you.
Okay, two quick final questions. Mayor, generally, are you happy with the services that are being provided by these service providers in those informal settlements? And as you said, it relates to the question asked by Angela, but I want to be forthright and ask, when you say you have already electrified 35 informal settlements, when are you building proper ablution facilities in all those informal settlements?
Okay. Lungani is the last hand. Is there any more brainwaves quickly? Okay, Lungani.
Well, yes, my question was not answered, Executive Mayor. I asked the question that the CEO was quoted as saying that he is planning to take the SIU report to review. So my question is that after this process, what is likely to happen, the GC process, what is likely to happen? But my last question is that we have seen that firstly there was that open letter about corruption that is happening here. and there were a number of incidents around that, and then there was arrest of other police, and also my question is that can you say there's a smear campaign against your administration in this region, because we see different parts now. There's a leak of emails, the so-called emails, which you have sent a statement dismissing them. Can you say there's a smear campaign or a forces against your administration?
Just a very quick one as well. The COO, you said, has been ditching the SIU. Has he actually been a participant in his DC? I understood it was meant to start it 2 days ago or yesterday. Has that actually process started? Has he attended? Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you, colleagues. The questions are closed. Executive Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mshengu. Look, I do contend because it will not be this administration that will blame the former administration. There is, I say it categorically, even though I was not involved at the time, I was not here. There is no wrongdoing that have been found in the system. So I say it categorically. So anyone who wants to blame Pudmondle or any other persons, maybe they've got their own agenda against him. So I would not want to entertain that. It will not officially be this administration that will sit and say, no, it's him, it's that one. If there was any wrongdoings, we're going to identify the wrongdoing and the person. But also, in his response to whoever he responded to, we don't get involved in supply chain. So there will never be a day, because the media like this thing, no. All the time, I've become the face of corruption. All the time there's corruption, you put my picture. Put the picture of this city manager here and this CFO. Yes, because I don't know, I've never seen a tender. I'm not involved. So you can't make me the face of corruption. If there's something wrong in the administration, that's why I brought them, so that Nibas take their pictures and then when the next time put them there, say, Because all the time, because sometimes I don't know whether the media understand this thing. And I said it to some of the colleagues I was talking to. I said, guys, we have children, you've got teenagers now. My daughter is doing matric. Now, all the time when you write these stories of allegations, when there is nothing, and I am not even involved. So the other kids there in school, they say, you see, when are your father? That's why you've got a nice jacket. Your father is corrupt. So that thing affects our families. So just be mindful as you write these stories. Just be ethical, be responsible. Just know that you are not dealing with some street kids who have no. We are responsible. We've got families. Write something. I will never fight with the media for writing for writing stories that have to do that have to do with wrongdoings on the part of the administration. So we are here. We've taken public service, knowing very well that we must be held to account. So there is never a problem about that. So I was just making an example, that thing that nearly gave you palpitations. I was just saying, now let me just answer those questions. I'll come back to you. Look, so there are two things we're doing, Angela, on the permanent solutions, because we've got to seek the permanent solution. That is why we gave you that background of the background. We've got to build. We must upscale building of houses. We must give people service sites where people can build their own homes, right? But also in the informal settlements, there are two issues that are permanent there. One is that communities just invade land. They don't ask who's the owner. So many a times we've done this split. Of the 164,000 odd houses, about 100,000 are built on privately owned land, right? And we can't go there and put toilet. We'll be sued by the landowners. That's why you must support us when we say such land. It means that they are livable. We must expropriate them. But we can't go and put municipal infrastructure on privately owned land. There will be audit issues, there will be legal issues, and so on and so on. But on one hand, the land that is owned by us as a municipality is not suitable for human habitation. So we can't, at the same time, we must look for pieces of land that is suitable, that we can be able to settle and put our people. There are instances, as I referred in the statement, where we've put some almost semi-permanent solutions of nice containers, and we can take you to show you some of the examples. We have sent the team, the MMC, I don't know why she ran away, because she should have come here. We sent a team to Durban to look at an alternative sanitation solution, because the reality is that the informal settlement is not going to disappear tomorrow. So we've got to constantly find solutions, because we're dealing with human beings. So that's the issue. So when he says to the media he's being targeted, maybe you must ask him, who is targeting you for what purpose? Because firstly, I brought him, or our administration brought him here. So if we didn't want him, I'm sure we were not going to hire him, right? Personally, I have a long history with him. I've worked with him before. So I don't know, but we're not playing here. This is government. So we've got to implement decisions. Sometimes decisions are hard, right? So if he says he's being targeted, and you must also ask him, what did he want in the political institutions? He should have started his company or go to Coca-Cola. Government is a political institution. There will always be political issues. If you are not prepared to navigate within those, it's unfortunate. So I don't know. But also, that report, Gogo, you referred to, February, it can easily be misconstrued as a defense for him. It is not. It is a defense of the council decision-making processes. So I see he goes around saying, no, that report cleared me. So where did this evidence come from, if it cleared him? We are not investigating us. It was never our issue. We've never subjected him to a DC. It is the SIU that has subjected him to a DC. So I've answered the question that I will not sit here and point fingers to Mzwandile, because I wouldn't expect a person to come after me. If I was having faults, I would expect that person to correct. And then, so government is a living institution. So if I faltered somewhere, I am not a perfect human being. Let the next person correct so that we can all grow and develop. We are not happy with the informal settlements. We would like to significantly reduce them. But we think that we really have tried to contain the informal settlement, the sprawl of informal settlement in the area. But it's not easy, it's difficult. People are just creating this informal settlement. But at the end of the day, these are families. We've got to treat them as such. We can't say, no, they are human rights issues that are enshrined in the Constitution that we need to.
Pardon me, I was referring to the work that's been done by the
Yes, I'm coming there. Yeah, so now the work that is being done, remember the work of political oversight is to ensure, if you ask me, were 39,000 odd toilets delivered where they were supposed to be delivered, the answer is yes. Are they being cleaned as per the contract? The answer is yes. Is there any wrongdoing that we have picked up? No. Are you happy? We have conducted the survey that we've just spoken about. Is detailed there. I started reading there. We've conducted the survey just to check, but I am not going to sit here and accept Amabungane talking to 3 people who are not happy and then make that a problem of 600,000 people. No, we've got to find a solution. Because for me, I'm asking myself, what was this investigation about? Was it about exposing corruption? If it was about that, I am telling you now, there was no corruption here. If it was about, because corruption is when you want to deliver X number of, you don't deliver them. Because you can look at our plans. Nothing happened incidentally. We didn't wake up from 9,000 to 39,000. It was planned in our financial year and we budgeted for it. And there is no audit finding that has come from the Auditor General about the sanitary program that we are running here in the city. If the COO decides to take the report of the SIU for review, it is his constitutional right, but we are not party to that. The report was given to us by the SIU as an aggrieved party. If he wants to go and take it for review, I'm sure the SIU is capable of dealing with issues of the review and what will happen. What we are being directed with here is not a gossip, is here. We will make this thing public so that as you go and write, at least you have sight, because it tells you that, no, we suspended, there was nothing, there is no report. Here is a report, I have it. So that as a proof that we had done our thorough work in terms of that. Look, I am not a product of WhatsApp group. People can write as much as they can. People write what they like. As politicians, we are just scapegoat for anything. So what people have written about WhatsApp, because if I've got evidence that the city manager has done something wrong, police station is next door her office, I'll go there and open a case. I won't write around WhatsApp group because it's grandstanding. Any wrongdoing must be investigated. I'm happy that all those WhatsApp groups, they have found their way to the public protector. Is now officially investigating. She will make her findings on it, and we are declaring in this press conference that we will fully cooperate with the public protector in the issue of those WhatsApp, because they will help to deal, because they won't end. They don't start today. In fact, if you are here long enough, in council, during Councillor Dumangos's time, people used to have anonymous messages. Hey, the executive manager, Ujola Nobanban, hey, who stole what? Those things have always been there. Guys, I want to tell you now, the local government is when you say is a cold face of service delivery, people are interested what goes on here. And the stakes are high. You know, having lost Johannesburg and Joburg, we are confronted with realities here of the business interests, of individual personal interest, of the institution that we must run. The combination of those things is what you will see. For me, the litmus test is our ability to withstand solidly without shaking. Because when you write a WhatsApp, you think the mayor is going to resign. I'm going nowhere. I will stay here until the end of my term and serve the people of this area without hesitation, because this is the work that we're supposed to be doing. Whether or not Uganda there is a smear campaign against me, I am not God. I'm just a deployee of the ANC, and it won't start and end with me. It will continue. But at least all of us will draw lessons from these things, that we have been able to deal with issues either through what I know is that in all where it matters, we report to the AG and independent institutions that look into our affairs. Everybody thinks that the seat of Ekurhuleni is the best seat at this point. So we will deal with these side shows as they come, and we will not be shaken by them. From time to time, we will always be accused. The issue is we must be able to prove ourselves that we've done nothing wrong. Thank you very much, Pak.
Thank you, colleagues. That's the end of the press briefing. We have a few finger foods. It would have been a full meal, but people are striking the balls.
So those who are interested to see the bundle of evidence,
But the statement here.
yeah? Which one? Which one? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, please get it quickly. Natasha, I would like to show you.
This guy just got his face here yesterday. He started 2 days ago.